Good morning. This is Amy with Sensorium Hypnosis. Welcome to my podcast today, Healer Within. Today, I have a special guest, Jene Shackleford of SG Light Therapy Lounge. Welcome, Jene. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Hi, Amy. Thanks so much for having me. I feel honored to be here.
Thank you. Well, Janae, I'm going to start off just real simply, and I'm going to ask you to share your story about how you got into the light therapy work that you provide now.
So, the way it was a very unintentional landing for my light therapy journey. My husband was in need of a neck surgery, and we had exhausted all kinds of resources to help his healing. And by chance, where my office is now, we were just down the street and chatting with a guy at a gas station, and he was telling us how this thing he had tried on his dog had helped his dog heal. And he wasn't able to get around very well and so on. And my husband just said, geez, I wish they had that for people. I could really
Mhm.
use that. And he goes, well, no, it really is for people. This gal took a chance on my dog and it worked. He goes, you should really go see this lady.
Mhm.
So he did.
Uh-huh.
And he did some work with her. He did about 6 sessions of targeted light therapy on his neck, and his symptoms of falling down on the ground, losing ability to move his fingers and his arms had started to go away. And we're about 3 years down the road now, and those symptoms have not come back, and we have
Mhm.
dodged a surgery. So
Oh,
we were just blown away by the whole experience. We didn't have any expectation, and we just thought, wow, if this really changed our life and our trajectory. How can we help people experience the same thing? And so we took a plunge and um, went on to share this with other people.
it's amazing. Janae, it's worth mentioning the type of work your husband does and why it would be so critical for him to get better function and less pain.
Yeah, so my husband does auto body, so
Uh-huh.
he is very physical with
Hmm.
his body all day long,
Hmm.
and that doesn't stop when he gets home. He's a project
Sure.
guy, so he's
Uh-huh.
in weird positions and
Hmm.
welding and just being really physical. So without being able to use his body for work, would have just tailspin a lot of things. So.
Sure. An incredible, incredible story. Janae, help us understand what light therapy is, how it works.
So light therapy uses different wavelengths of light,
Hmm.
and our body operates off of our mitochondria cells to take action. And
Hmm.
those cells really thrive on light. So when we go outside, we feel a difference just there. And with the light therapy, you can directly charge those cells so that they can start working on their own instead of waiting around for resources of those quality things that we're going to put in our body with nutrients, exercise, oxygen. Um, with this particular device itself, it's a lot stronger than a lot of other therapies that you can get your hands on. And you can aim it directly. So you've got the full spectrum of light working and dumping in a short amount of time in a session um, to allow the body to start utilizing that energy and healing as it's supposed to.
Oh, that's incredible. Janae, when I came to see you, and I'm going to share more amazing stories with our audience, when I came to see you, you used a measurement tool to help interpret what was going on in my body. And I remember sharing with you my symptoms and how well this measurement tool validated the dysfunction or disruption in my body. So, can you tell our audience more about that measurement tool that you use and what kind of information it reveals?
Yeah, absolutely. So the measurement tool that we use is called an F scan, and that allows for us to measure what kind of pathogens our bodies are struggling to put out on its own. So our bodies are really smart, but there's times where we have an overload of different bacteria that might enter the system, or, like a cold and flu. And so that can disrupt our body's normal rhythm. Or maybe we have accrued some additional bacteria that our body just is having trouble putting out. So when we scan the body, we can find out what those particular things are, and those each carry their own frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And we can use those particular frequencies on the abdomen to eliminate those really specifically so that your body has extra power in getting rid of those and returning to its own rhythm of healing.
Oh, you're speaking my language. So beautiful. Well, Jene, what I'd like to learn more about is, can you give us the profile of the typical client or patient who might seek out this kind of treatment?
Yeah, there's really two types of clients. There's clients who might be suffering from an autoimmune
Mm-hmm.
um, dysfunction. So that can a full range of different autoimmune. And that's where we can bring in the frequency plus light and healing. So people who've just really struggled to nourish their bodies and get things back on track, I will often see those people. And people who might have had an injury or
Mm-hmm.
post-surgery or going into surgery or some kind of pain.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, those are generally the two types of people that I will see.
That's great. Tell us a story, a success story, and I'll certainly share mine. But pick from your range of clients a positive outcome of using this therapy as a tool for to promote healing.
My very favorite, who I met through doing the light therapy, which is now a good friend of mine.
Mhm,
Um, she has cerebral palsy, and I
mhm,
didn't know much of anything about cerebral palsy,
mhm,
but it definitely looks different on everybody. Her, in particularly, her speech was delayed. She had a really delayed walk, had a walker, drug her feet, and obviously there's a lot of mental things that come along with having a disability.
mhm,
And she'd also had a spinal cord injury. So she was in a place where she was trying to detoxify her body. And that's why she came to my office to get a little extra help with that frequency on her gut. At this point, I didn't really know the full capabilities of the system that I was using. I had a
mhm,
good idea. Um, and after we'd done about 6 sessions, she was like, "Yeah, I'm feeling good." And I just was curious. And I said, "Well, would you be willing to try this on your brain?" Because I know it can help with cognitive issues.
mhm,
And the cerebral is connecting the brain to the rest of the body. And
mhm,
so she was willing to go ahead and try that. And so after about 2 sessions, she was noticing that she was able to get around her house without her walker. She could carry like a cup of tea or water across her from her kitchen to her couch without spilling it, which she had always expected that to happen.
mhm,
Um, and her speech was less delayed. We started watching some videos of when we were originally speaking, and it just all these pieces started to come together. And that what that looks like a year later with the improvements of being able to bring the, the speech and the physical aspect of her body all together to operate as one is she's back in the world. She is an insurance agent. She's able to do things with her kids.
mhm,
Um, it's just her life looks entirely different than when I met her. She was kind of in a little dark cave, and
mhm.
it's just amazing. Like it's unbelievable to see the things that her body physically can do now.
Wow. What an incredible story, Janae. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'd like to interject for a few moments and share with our audience how you've been helping me through light therapy. First, I'll mention Janae and I met through a women's networking group in Snohomish, which is where her business is located, Snohomish, Washington. We'll talk a little bit more in a few minutes about how people can find you. But I sought out Jene's help for multiple reasons. And I remember jokingly telling her, look, you, I might warn you that I have so much going on in my body. I'm afraid of your equipment blowing up
Yeah.
because there was a lot. I have autoimmune disease, myalgic encephalomyelitis, which simply means my cells don't know how to die, but they also don't carry enough energy. So one of the hallmarks of this type of condition is post-exertional malaise and lots of inflammation, lots of nerve pain. And then also, less than a year ago, I had a major surgery at Harborview for medial arcuate ligament syndrome. And simply stated, there was a ligament compressing my celiac artery, which supplies blood and nutrients to my digestive organs. And so they essentially had to open me up, remove the ligament, and in the process, remove the entire celiac bundle of nerves, which regulates digestion. So, long story short, I came to Jene with lots of issues. One, shortness of breath and difficulty breathing. I felt like there was some inflammation in my lungs, possibly from autoimmune or leftover symptoms from my surgery, because this ligament is what attaches the spine and the diaphragm. And so who knows how that, jarbled up my ability to breathe. But I also had quite a bit, even though my upper intestinal issues improved substantially with the surgery, my lower abdominal region was still creating a lot of symptoms. And so one thing I noticed right away, Jene, is the reduction of inflammation and my shortness of breath pretty much immediately after 3 minutes of, was it light therapy? And I'm not, you can explain your protocol a little bit later, but we had literally done a very short session that day. And I remember driving home from your space thinking, oh my gosh, I can catch my breath. Over time, I noticed that my immune system seemed to be thinking better. And I noticed now 4 sessions in that my lower back and hip pain has been reduced substantially. And once again, my breathing continues to improve. Even some of my lower abdominal symptoms, we've managed to turn down the volume. And again, as my body is trying to figure out or learn again how to digest food properly. So I wanted to share that. Do you want to interject and share with our audience a little bit more about your protocol that you're using with me and why you're taking this approach?
Yeah, absolutely. So when somebody comes to see me like yourself that has a lot of things that their body is especially struggling with the energy aspect of
Mhm.
it, there's different levels of intensities that we can shift up or down with the machine. And
Mhm.
we it's great to put the light in the body, but you don't want to overflood the body's ability to utilize that. And
Mhm.
so more is not always better. Um,
Mhm.
and just training the body, um, with a little bit of energy to start and promote the working. Everybody's body's a little different, so it's not a
Mhm.
one size fits all. But the protocol is just starting with the light and getting it in there in a slow amount so that the body will start that thinking process, like you mentioned, like,
Mhm.
okay, I have something, I can do something,
Mhm.
and I have resources. And so a lot of times I will start where it seems necessary for the body, and then build from there as we start to stabilize.
Hmm. It's absolutely incredible. I remember several times through this process thinking, how could such a conservative approach create such an incredible shift? The other thing that I noticed, which I think is really noteworthy to those who are listening to this, we oftentimes, when we have autoimmune and high levels of pain, we have no idea the level to which this invades our ability to think clearly. And we've somehow been able to normalize the state of being in fight or flight. So even though I come across very calm because I'm a hypnotist and that's what I do and who I am, I'm by nature pretty calm. Um, but I realized too through this process, my body was going through a war constantly, fighting inflammation, fighting, the digestion process, even fighting to produce enough energy to get through each day. And I was driving away from your office the last time thinking, and maybe even the time before thinking, wow, I feel calm. My body feels a level of calmness. I honestly can't remember the last time, if ever, I felt this calm. And it was from the inside out. Very strange and beautiful, albeit gentle shift in the direction that tells me, again, my immune system is thinking and is self correcting,
Mhm.
figuring out how to do things better. Um, so I wanted to share that. And then, Jene, I would love to know and to have you share, what were you doing before you got into this line of work? And how does this line of work represent more of a career calling or a soul's path for you?
So prior to Light, I had spent about 20 years managing a dental practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was used to working with people like in vulnerable situations, sometimes fearful situations. And that's really taught me how to connect with people and listen to them and offer them comfort. Nobody loves going to the dentist. And so we had a lot of practice connecting with people. So it also gave me a foundation of how to run a practice.
Mm-hmm.
So when I stepped into light therapy, I had both clinical and care mindset and operational, like kind of a know how to support people and run business at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously with some practice, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, dentistry was my life before this.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that struck me, I mean, instantly when I walked into your space and into your energy, is how there's this calm, quiet confidence in you. And it felt like this deep inner knowing that the tools that you were using were indeed going to make some incredible impacts on my life, and I appreciated that. And I always think, you and I, we have these tools, but and amazing tools, but so much of it really does have, needs to come from the intent
Yeah.
of the practitioner, right? Because all of us are being utilized as a conduit for people to self heal. How does the work that you do now align with your core values?
Um, well, I just believe that God's given us this ability to have our bodies heal on their own.
Mhm,
And I always believe in getting to the root cause of things. And, I try to live the life I promote other people to engage in.
mhm,
And so, you know, I feel that I've been blessed to be able to have such a tool to share with people to help them heal. And, whether it's like burnout or, they've been on a long healing journey, you know, just having the opportunity that we did and to believe in something and to share something so simple yet
Mhm.
so powerful,
Mhm.
um, has just, it's who I am.
Yeah.
I love to share that with people.
Oh, it's amazing. Now, and this may be a question you can answer and maybe not, and that's perfectly fine. But where do you see light therapy going in the future?
Um,
Or
I
how do you hope to see it utilized in other ways in the future? That might be a better question.
Uh, you know, I am hoping, and it seems pretty encouraging that light therapy can be used as a whole body healing for and bringing more awareness for other people to have the
Mhm.
ability to heal wholly.
Mhm.
There's a lot of promise outside of just using it for pain, but maybe for deeper issues, along uh, mental issues or
Mhm.
cancer.
Mhm.
It's just, I see that going somewhere in the future. There's a
Mhm.
lot more awareness. So I'm hoping to see that people have the opportunity to use this and have some
Mhm.
awareness.
It makes perfect sense. I even think about some of the complexities or symptoms that doctors aren't aware of this autoimmune condition that I have causing inflammation in the gums. And how, we go back to dental practices in the hopes of, this condition being addressed, but it never really is. And so much of our disease is related to inflammation. So I see huge implications there. And for me, this medial arcuate ligament syndrome is rare, like two, or they say it's rare, 2 out of 100,000 people. And I will tell you, there's one surgeon in this whole entire state that does this surgery, and there is zero aftercare.
Wow.
So you get, cut into 5 days at a trauma hospital, and then essentially, I mean, I liken it to being up in a helicopter and kicked out without a parachute.
Yeah.
So they did the surgery, but there was no follow-up care. None of my doctors, even specialists, understood like how to manage the aftercare.
Yeah.
So I cannot tell you how much gratitude and appreciation I have for the work that you've done and continue to do with me in light therapy, and how excited I am to actually share this with the Western medicine world. Some of whom their spiritual ears are open and they're ready to listen because, some of us have conditions that are ahead of medical science.
Mhm.
And I think people need to open their hearts and open their minds to understand that these progressive alternative forms of therapy are powerful and they're essential and they're needed. We need to step outside of our egoic mind in the conventional world and begin to try and embrace this. you know Jene, I've been on a mission now since my surgery to try this along with other modalities to see how I can build my immune system back up. I happen to be a patient soul, as you are, and so I know these things take time.
Yeah.
And we have to step away from the human obsession that people like you and I have this magic wand
Yeah.
that can, right, modify or change or pull somebody out of trauma overnight. this path takes some patience. And it also takes a strong connection to the intuitive mind, right? Because if our minds and our lives are too noisy, we may miss the opportunity to acknowledge the kind of shifts that I've seen
Yeah.
through our work together in like light therapy. So I am super excited to share this with my colleagues in Western and alternative healing modalities. And I just cannot thank you enough for your inspiration in creating this business and all the incredible love and compassion that you bring into this role. A lot of the magic is you, Jene. And I'll just be very forthcoming in sharing that. It's so true. I would love for you to share now. How do people find you? Where are you located? Where are you online? How do they initially reach out to you? Share whatever you're inspired to share.
Yeah, so I am located downtown Snohomish off of First and Cedar. So people can also find me either on my website, SG
Mhm.
Light Therapy Lounge. You can find me on Instagram mostly with the SG Light Therapy Lounge as well. Um, a lot of people, I make it easy. People can reach out to me via text. That
Mhm.
seems to be the way people like to connect,
Yes.
ask questions, um, and just kind of either it's easier to schedule that way, but you know, um, sessions are really personalized here. We focus on, your unique needs and whether you're managing pain or stress or fatigue. You've got a platform here to be heard. And we can create a path together here in my space to help you on your journey.
Oh, so beautiful. One thing I want to ask too, I mean, you and I met at a women's business networking group and you actually had your tools with you, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, will you be available to do any of that in the future? And if so, like what would that look like?
I used to do, I'm pretty mobile for the most
Mhm.
part.
Yeah.
I do some events. I'm going to be at an event here in the near future, another ladies event, so people have the opportunity to see things in action or try it out. Um, And there's opportunity to go to people. I have gone to people that aren't able to leave their homes. Um,
Wow.
I don't want that to be, a main hurdle for people to, or keep them from being able to heal. So, I do some of that too.
Incredible. Janae, it's funny, you're a light, it's called light therapist.
Yeah.
You're certified light therapist, but you're
Yes.
also a light worker
Yeah.
in the larger realm. This very, very, divinely inspired, high frequency soul. I love coming into your space. I love being in the presence of your energy. As I mentioned, it's so loving, it's so gentle, it's so intuitive. And honestly, when I saw the accurate reading of dysfunction in my body using your measurement tools, and looked at the long list, I was surprised, not surprised. There's so many tools in Western medicine, but they're limited. And I feel like this tool is better for understanding imbalances and dysfunction and translating them into symptoms. And like I said, the symptoms I described and the way that your tool evaluated what was going on in my body was incredible. I've used a lot of alternative therapy, and I have to say, in my humble opinion, this is the best. If you want to know what's going on beneath
Yeah.
the surface of your body and how it relates to your symptoms, and also try a tool that's going to turn down the volume or in some cases, maybe completely resolve over time. This is definitely one of the best tools. Jene, I appreciate you. SG Light Therapy Lounge. I'm definitely going to put some links in the content of the podcast and wherever else I post this podcast. But I want to thank you to the depths of my soul for your time and your inspiration. And I appreciate so much you joining us today.
Well, excuse me. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to continuing to work together and hopefully partnering together in the future and just seeing how we can help people.
Absolutely. That sounds so great. Jene, again, I appreciate you. I know that my clients with GI issues are taking copious notes. I wouldn't be surprised if they reached out to me for more information because it seems like women in particular suffer the greatest with autoimmune issues and also GI related issues. I know my two very best female friends in the world have already asked for your contact information. I will definitely forward this video to them, but I'm also going to post it in various places on my website, which is sensoriumhypnosis.com. You'll be able to see the podcast there. Of course, it'll be on Spotify and in a number of other places, and also in my newsletter. But I appreciate you so much, Jene, and I know you and I will see each other again soon.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Jene. Take care. Bye now.